All right, so let's carry on. So we just talked about HDMI extension over cat cables, okay? We talked about the pros and cons. We talked about unshielded versus shielded, but let's talk about HD base T. Anyone not heard of HD base T? Don't be shy. Everyone's good with HD base T. Okay, good. So just to recap, HD base T is a technology that we use and our competitors use to extend HDMI signals even further, okay? That extender that I pass around with the USB ports, that is a standard extender, okay? That's good for about 164 feet, okay? You can push it to 180 feet, maybe 190 depending on the cable that you're using. If you need to go further than that, HD base T is great because it transfers video, audio, Ethernet, IR, and power. We'll talk about power over one single cable up to 330 feet, okay? That's almost 200 more feet than your standard extender. Yes, sir?
Have that with USB built in?
We do not yet. That's coming out pretty soon. Yeah. Don't have that yet. So with this, there's two different versions of HD base T. Again, we'll talk about the power aspect in a bit. Okay. There's Class A and there's Class B. Okay. Class A gets you 330 feet or 100 meters to get you audio, video, 4K even. Okay. 60 frames like that new piece that we got going on over there, but also gives you Ethernet pass through as well. This is our brand new Class A extender, okay? Now you'll find a lot of ports on here, okay? So don't let this confuse you, it's actually pretty simple. So your transmitting unit, your head end, hooks up to your source, your cable box, your Blu-ray player, let's say, okay? That goes HDMI in, right? Your HD base T is out here, that goes 330 feet to this guy. The extra ports are labeled Ethernet. Why? Because you can use this thing as a networking switch, which is great, okay? Let's say you're like me, I only had one line, Cat 5e, running from my family room down to my basement. It was being used for Ethernet, okay? To get Ethernet down to my basement, to part my computers down there, whatever else I had down there, okay? Here's a problem. I have a matrix unit, we'll talk about matrix units in a bit. Matrix units route your inputs to your outputs. So I have a matrix unit down my basement with all my sources. I can send my Apple TV to any room I want to, right? Here's a problem, I had a PlayStation down there. For control, PlayStation uses Bluetooth. And Bluetooth is only good for about 30 feet, if that, okay? So when my PlayStation was down in the basement, I could play my PlayStation down in the basement and take my controller with me. Play downstairs in the basement, I can play upstairs in the family room where they're done. As soon as I went to the top floor, guess what? No more control. So I had to place my PlayStation in the family room where it's centrally located. It can hit downstairs, that floor, and upstairs, but I only had one line. Guess what? I use an extender like this. Plugged in my PlayStation in the family room, plugged in my router to the Ethernet, got both my PlayStation and Ethernet downstairs to my basement, where this guy is. And again, HDMI out to your TV, HD base T in from that long run, and now you got two hardwired Ethernet ports, also great for your smart TVs. Why? Because again, it's hardwired, much better than wireless, okay? That particular unit is a brand new one. It does full 4K. We were actually the first manufacturer out with that type of extender that can do 4K with HDR, okay? Very important, okay? There's also a Class B version, okay, which is gonna cost you a bit less. What do you lose? You lose 100 feet and you lose the Ethernet routing. You also may lose HDR because we don't have an HDR in Class B form, okay? That guy, actually I don't have a sample of that guy. That guy's downstairs, but same form factor, you just lose the Ethernet ports. Yes, sir?
Since we do a lot in the commercial market, is there an option eventually to get to a gigabit on Ethernet?
Possibly, yeah. Not right now. I have heard of that with HDMI over IP. Yeah, but right now 100 meg is the max that you can do.
Some of the commercial ports are large corporations.
Sure.
For digital signage.
Yep. And you need more bandwidth.
Yeah, are they just, their whole network is based off of gigabit now, or is they swap out on switches?
Right, yeah.
For monitoring and stuff like that, let's see a different color light on their switch.
Right.
Do they got some 100 meg?
Slow down, yeah. Right now that is maxed out at 100 megs. I have heard of HD base T coming out with a gigabit extender. I don't know when that'll be. Yes, sir?
So what's the point of having 2 in and 2 out?
So it's not in or out.
It's not in or out.
No, it's like a networking switch. It'll be an input or an output. As long as you feed one of them.
So you have to feed one.
Exactly.
Use this other one
As a pass-through.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so you you actually are creating through.
Exactly. Yep. Just like a networking switch, you plug in one source for Ethernet and all the rest become outputs. Yep. Okay. Now, again, just to recap, that's video, audio, Ethernet, IR, and power, okay? So we use power over HDBaseT. Again, with that specific unit, we only give you one power supply. You pick and choose which side you want to power up for easier installation, right? Why? Because the transmitter at the head end, you probably already have an outlet there, power conditioner, surge protector, so on and so forth. Behind the TV, you may not have power, okay? Now, HDBaseT is made by one manufacturer. It's not like HDMI. So that makes it super compatible. You can actually take our HDBaseT extender, the receiver of it, and you can hook it up to a competitor's transmitter. Why? Because the chipset should be the same, okay? Coming out of the same factory even, okay? Now the power is important. Why? Because I actually talked to a Sony engineer at CEDIA, the last CEDIA, and he let me know that they are working on HDBaseT inputs on the backside of their TVs, okay? What does that mean? That means that receiving unit is built right into your TV, okay? In addition to having 5 or 6 HDMI inputs, you'll have maybe 1 or 2 RJ45 jacks that'll say HDBaseT in, okay? There are already AV receivers out there with HDBaseT outputs in addition to HDMI. What does that mean? That means the transmitting unit is already built into your source, okay? In fact, Integra and I want to say Yamaha makes an AV receiver with an HDBaseT out. That means you can take one of those AV receivers to your brand new Sony TV, you can mount your TV on the wall, run a single cable, Cat 5e or Cat 6, that provides your TV video, audio, Ethernet, IR, and power, okay? That means when you're hooking up your TV and you're mounting it to the wall, you don't have to power it up. You're not using the power supply, okay? That's pretty wild to think of, okay? Why is that important? Because you may not have an outlet mid-wall. It'll be down there. Guess what? You need to extend it using Rapid Link or something like that, or call an electrician. I actually know of an outdoor TV manufacturer who only does HDBaseT inputs on their TVs. Why? Because they're outdoor TVs. Okay, it is a lot tougher to run power than it is a single cat cable outside. You had a question?
Yeah. Are those going to stay capped at 100 meg per second?
For Ethernet? Yes. Yeah, for the time being, yes. For Ethernet, again, I've heard of HDBaseT updating it to gigabit, but that's just a rumor. Okay. In terms of power, I mean, how can they power up a TV? OLED, organic LED displays, right? They're using less and less power nowadays. They're using less than 100 watts. And you can transfer 100 watts of power through Cat 5 or Cat 6, okay? So very important. So it's wild to think of. I actually saw a TV, you look behind it, and there's a single Cat 5e or a Cat 6 hooked up, no power, okay? That's gonna be a game changer. Okay. Any questions on HDBaseT before we move on? We're good? Okay. All right, HDMI extension over coax. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this is sort of old technology, okay? This is you coming into an application, an older house that has, guess what? Coax running all over the place, okay? So instead of CAT, we can extend an HDMI signal over coax. Instead of the RJ45s, you'll have a BNC connector, okay? Some of the pros to HDMI extension over coax, you can run actually a long way. About 400 feet if you're using RG6, about 250 feet if you're using RG59, okay? So long distances, okay? Same deal, single coax, audio, video control. You can't do power, okay? Easy to terminate, okay? Cons, more compatibility issues than category extenders, okay? Just by nature. Also not able to handle certain audio formats. Can't do Dolby, okay? Can do basically PCM and that's it, okay? So again, that is HDMI extension over coax. I would say we certainly still sell them. I would say use it if you absolutely need to. But I can tell with you guys run new cables anyway. Okay, it's just worth it to run new cables. HDMI extension over fiber. This is something that we're looking into. A lot of our competitors actually have a solution already out there. So they are extending HDMI over fiber instead of CAT or coax. Okay, it's not a matter of meters, it's a matter of miles. Okay, you can get from one building to the next using fiber, okay? Why would you need this? College campus, hospital campus, okay? Campus is where you need to take one signal from one building to the next, okay? so much longer. Obviously, cost is the issue here, okay? We are coming out with a hybrid HDMI fiber cable pretty soon, but that's not an HDMI extender. That'll be just a single HDMI cable. If you were to ask me, are you guys coming out with a fiber extender with the 2 actual units? Probably not, because we're looking to HDMI over IP, and we'll talk about HDMI over IP in a bit, okay? Cons, overall cost, very expensive. I've heard of a single extender cost more than $1,000, okay? Pretty expensive. But hey, if you need it, if you need to get to the other building, that's the way you do it. HDMI over IP. So this is very cool. In my opinion, this will replace matrix units, okay? Why? Because with the matrix unit, like this guy right here, this is a 4x3, okay? And we'll talk about matrix units a little later. But that means you are fixed to 4 inputs and 3 outputs. That is it, okay? Now can we split out the HDMI on the output? Absolutely, we can take that forth and run a splitter, okay? But you're splitting that same signal out, okay? If you've got a cable box, a Blu-ray player, a PlayStation, and let's say another media streamer, if you add a 5th source, guess what? You gotta buy a new matrix unit, okay? Here's where HDMI over IP is great, okay? Instead of using this, you are using a switch, an Ethernet switch, okay? All right, let's say that's a 24-port switch. Guess what? Any one of those ports can be an input or an output. I can have a 1x23 splitter, or I can have a 23x1 switcher, or a 12x12 matrix unit. Does not matter, okay? Fully flexible. All we're doing here is these receivers and transmitters, we're giving these IP addresses, we're hooking up to this guy, and obviously the receiver to the same guy, and all we're doing is routing IP address to IP address, and that's all we're doing. We can send any source signal to any display signal using IP, okay? So we are coming out with a solution about Q3, so look out for that. Again, in my opinion, this will replace matrix units. Yes, sir?
How user-friendly is the dashboard?
Very user-friendly. So I saw a sneak peek in our app, and it's an app where you can rename your sources, and it's all a matter of drop-down box, hit Apple TV to master bedroom. That's it.
Is this a separate subnet?
That is a good question. I don't know. That's a good question.
If you hook it up to your regular network, it's going to slow traffic down. Split all the polling from one device to the other.
I don't know. That's a great question. Our product development manager is looking into this. He's developing right now. All I've seen are a sneak peek of the app and the actual products itself. I don't know any more information on it, but that's a good question. I can certainly ask. You would think so because it's used in the network, but I don't know. Yeah.
Do those double as network ports as well? Or is this
Strictly, from what I know, strictly audio and video. Yeah. Will they come out with an extender that has extra RJ45s? Possibly. But from what I know, it's just video and audio for HDMI signals only. But again, very cool because, again, you can turn any port into an input or output. Okay.
It has a network input, but then all the other ports are used strictly for audio and video.
Correct.
Okay, well, that answers my question.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. What else? A lot of customization that you can do with this. From what I saw, and our competitors, you can actually schedule out switching too. Great for commercial application. We were talking earlier about scheduling switching. Why commercial application? Let's say you're a casino and let's say it's or a bar or restaurant type. Game comes on. Instead of manually switching, you can schedule it to switch to one single source. Super Bowl comes around, you can schedule it. It'll switch by itself. Okay. You can do video walls with this. Okay. You can do multi-view with this. Okay. So we can turn 9 TVs on a 3x3 application into one single image. Okay. Or we can take one large projection screen and we can show a bunch of sources within small tiles with an actual projection screen. Okay. We can do messages that overlay and run across for advertisements. Okay. So again, a lot of customization. So look out for that pretty soon. All right, guys, we're close to wrapping up. System design and choosing the right product. Okay, so when do you use an HDMI splitter? An HDMI splitter is pretty simple. All it's doing is you're taking one source and you're duplicating it. Remember the keys? Okay, you're taking one source and that source is giving out a key to each of these displays. No latency, these are all synchronized. They will all display at the same time. This is a 1x4 splitter. The big deal behind this guy is it's full 4K, 60 frames, 444, and HDR, all the stuff that we talked about, okay? Okay. You guys ever walk into a Costco or a Sam's Club? It's the first thing that you see after the greeter. You see this, right? Okay. And they're all showing the same exact thing, right? And typically it's a cartoon because they look the best on those TVs, okay? Like Finding Nemo or something like that, okay? They don't have a Blu-ray player for each TV, right? They have one Blu-ray player feeding all those TVs, okay? How do I know that? Because I went to my local Costco, I looked behind, guess what? There was a Geffen splitter sitting right behind it, okay? You can daisy chain splitters, again, up to 7 times, okay? We lit up 55 TVs using 7 different splitters. Literally on the 8th, that's where you start seeing degradation.
And is that on all of them or just the 8th?
On all, just the 8th. So that 8th splitter, all the outputs on it will degrade. Why is that? I don't know. We tried it out. We were told by HDMI that the 8th one will degrade. We tried it out. Fair enough. The 8th one started degrading. So I think it's within the coding. Okay. All right, example of splitting HDMI. This is just a 1x8, so this is coming 1 in, 8 out. In this particular unit, the extender is already built in. Okay, so we do have HDMI splitters that are HDMI in, HDMI out. This particular unit is taking one HDMI in. The transmitters are all built in. Cat 5 here, Cat 6 out. It's non-HD base T, so that's good for about 164 feet to each receiver. Receiver turns the Cat 5 or Cat 6 back into HDMI for you. Again, all the TVs will all be synchronized. Okay, that way you can split a single source to multiple. Okay, this particular unit also has an HDMI loop out for a local display or control room display, or guess what? You can loop out to the next splitter, and you can daisy chain. Keep on adding. Okay. All right. Why would you need a splitter in a residential application? Well, to get rid of a cable box. Yes?
To support IR?
I'm not sure if this one does. I don't think so. No, this one does not. You would have to run a separate IR system. This one does, though. This one does support IR. So you'll see the IR ports on here. The receivers also have IR ports, so you can control that single source from any of the display locations. Anybody not see this? We good? Okay. Commercial application, pretty much anywhere. Restaurants, bar type applications where they want to show off their beer menu or their regular menu. Airports, think about that. They need to split out that signal, each gate, right? Each concourse, arrivals and departures. Our product development manager is a former integrator. He lives in upstate New York, and apparently there's a horse racing track called Saratoga Race Springs, or Saratoga Springs. There's 100 of these pods. It's 1x4 splitter, splitting out that same information for the race on each side. That's what he did. Okay. Okay. When to use an HDMI switcher? Switcher is quite the opposite. So you're taking multiple inputs to one single out. Why would you need this? Let's say your TV only had 2 or 3 HDMI inputs. You got 3 sources. You had an Xbox. Guess what? Okay, that's way too many inputs that your TV can handle. I actually talked to an elderly lady. What she did, she unplugged one and plugged it back into an input. Okay. She didn't know there was an HDMI switcher, and I told her all about it, okay? So this will take multiple ins. In this case, is a 4x1. 4 in to 1 out, and it can switch for you, okay? Again, residential, pretty simple. Commercial, different types of inputs, okay? Like a boardroom or a conference room type application. I've got different types of switchers that'll do HDMI or VGA, switch from each input to an HDMI output. I've got one that'll do composite, component, S-video, DVI, VGA, HDMI to a single HDMI output, okay? You name it, we got it in a switcher, okay? Got an old Nintendo you want to hook up to your brand new TV, that's the way to do it, okay? It'll actually upscale for you, okay? Residential application, again, our product development manager, he did one in his own home. He had the switcher down here with all of his components and had it switched to a single TV, okay? Let's talk about something more exciting, an HDMI matrix unit. Okay, so an HDMI matrix unit is a combination of a switcher and splitter. Okay, that means I can send any source to any display. I myself have a 4x4 matrix unit at home. Okay, 4 in, 4 out. What this allows me to do, I can take my Apple TV, I can send it to any room that I want to without fighting with my wife or kids. Okay, I can take my cable box, move my game to a different room, move the Apple TV to the master bedroom so my kids can watch in there. Okay, fully flexible. Okay, there are different types. This is a 4x3. Okay, we make as small as a 4x2, 4x4. We've got a 6x6, 8x8, and we're coming out with a 16x16 pretty soon. Think about that, 16 in, 16 out. I'm pretty sure you guys have done some large matrix units. We did one in the past. We discontinued it. We're coming out with a new one. Again, I used to handle tech support for VANCO, and I was working with a guy, an integrator, on the phone. Just working with 16x16. We actually sell quite a few of them, and usually it's commercial. Sometimes you'll get residential. Okay, that means you got a pretty big house. So I was asking the guy, I was like, okay, so what kind of commercial application is this? He says, no, it's not a commercial application. It's residential. It's the guy's house. I'm like, you're kidding me. So this guy has 16 TVs. He says, no, he has 32 TVs. Because on the back side of our matrix units, we have an output that's category out, but there's a mirrored HDMI out. So one output you can connect 2 TVs to. So he was using every single output. He was using 32 outputs on the back of the 16x16. This guy had 32 TVs in his house. And I was like, wow, you're kidding me. He had a TV in every room, 2 TVs in every bathroom, okay? One that showed up behind the mirror as you turn it on, right, pretty slick, and then one in the bath. And I said, you're kidding me, why would you need one in the bath? He says, well, the guy's a stockbroker. He wants to see the ticker no matter if he's brushing his teeth or taking a shower. So go figure. So this is a 4x3 matrix unit, okay? All right, this is very similar to what I have at home, so 4 in, 4 out, okay? So 4 in the center, 4 out over category, and again, I've got HDMI in, HDMI out. We've also got ones that go over CAT like this guy here, so the extender is built right in, okay? As far as control, how do you control this guy, okay? You'll see RS-232. We've got drivers for AMX, Crestron, Control4, RTI, Elan, and URC for our matrix units. If you don't have a fancy control system, okay, you can use IP control. If you're not familiar with the control systems, basically a home automation control system, okay? You can get a nice iPad or whatever, you have sleep, your lights turn off, your doors lock, your security system, arms, your matrix units will turn off, you can turn off TVs, it'll walk your dog, or it should at least, okay? Yes, sir?
Is that also a network interface for the dashboard and all that?
It does, yeah, it's got an IP interface, yep, okay. So if you hook up, if you don't have a fancy control system, hook up your network to that LAN port, a switch or a router, and you'll get something close to this. Okay, this is actually a screenshot of my own phone. Okay, all you got to do is punch in the IP address of your matrix unit, because guess what? Once you plug in your network into your matrix unit, your network will give that an IP address. Okay, all you have to do is find it, or you can set it yourself. You can even save this as a shortcut. It looks just like an app. Okay, on your phone. Click on it. This will come up. This is so easy, my wife uses it, okay? You can see I renamed my outputs. I've got the guest bedroom, the playroom, the master bedroom, and the basement. I've renamed my inputs, the cable box, the PlayStation, the Apple TV, and the Blu-ray player, okay? So let's say, before I answer your question, let's say I'm in the playroom, I'm playing PlayStation, right? The kids' playroom, I shouldn't be, right? My kids come in, they say, Dad, what are you doing? I want to watch my cartoons. Not a problem. All I have to do, click on master bedroom, click on PS3. This will refresh the PS3. And the PS3 is now in my master bedroom, okay? I can hit output all, PS3, and for some odd reason, if you want to play PS3 in every room, or if you have 2 kids who can't stand each other, can't be in the same room but want to play the same game, there you go, okay? We can also do presets from here, okay? Bar type or restaurant type application, you can do a Super Bowl preset or a March Madness preset, so that way you're not adjusting each and every output, you just hit the preset and it'll adjust for you, okay? That's the mapping. This is the setting tab where you can rename your inputs and outputs. You can rename your presets. You can even lock out your kids with a password, okay? Send 0 to the room at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. and password protected, okay? Until they outsmart you. EDID, you can actually adjust EDID information from here. I'll give you a quick example. When I hooked up my matrix unit, I only had 3 TVs. I added a 4th to my kids' playroom, okay? When I hooked that up, it started blinking. Couldn't figure out why. It was TV that I bought on sale from Best Buy, and I couldn't figure out why. And I'm changing out the CAT cables, changing out the HDMI, still blinking. And I didn't realize I bought a 720p TV from Best Buy. Samsung was cheap, 720p, I didn't even care, I didn't even read it. It was just a couple $100. But my matrix unit was trying to send it 1080p, so it couldn't handle it, so it started blinking. So all I had to do was go into this tab, hit that output, adjust it to 720p, problem solved. Okay. Okay. You had a question?
Yeah. So installation for other people,
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to have to deal with any of that?
Yes.
They want you to do it. Is there a way to log in remotely?
No, unless you port forward, and we talked about this before.
Okay. So as long as you open the ports.
Yes.
And are they built in already? Do you have to set the permissions like other standard?
That is a good question. I don't know if they're open or not. I'd have to double check. I've never tried. We talked about this before during lunch. The request doesn't come in a lot because obviously I can see it for an integrated purpose and trying to troubleshoot without going to the application. But typically if you're the homeowner, obviously you're not going to be adjusting and switching it from remotely. That's a good question. I can find out for you. Do me a favor, you got my card. Please remind me, both of you guys, and I will find out for you. So yeah, that is the user interface for it. Very simple to use. We are coming out with our newer matrix units. You'll have two user interfaces. One for the integrator, which has all these options, and then one that's dumbed down for the end user, okay? That way, because we found that giving the entire thing to the homeowner is probably a bad idea, okay? Especially if they can go to the EDID tab and start messing around with these, or some little kid, right? Because you don't want that. Otherwise, guess what? You guys get the call, right? Okay. Matrix example, large scale. Again, our product development manager, he did a bar in upstate New York. He used an 8x8, okay? So this is 8 in, 8 out, okay? Some of them are mirrored. This one has extra options as far as audio breakouts, RS-232 pass-through, but same deal, okay? We can send any source to any output. Very cool. All right, any questions on the matrix units, the splitters or the switchers, or even the extenders that we just covered? Yes, sir?
So you said just typing the IP address. Is that like an actual app, or is
No, just web browser.
Up and it works with like Safari?
Safari, Chrome, you name it.
No
Yeah,
plugins or anything?
not at all. Out of the box.
Can you change the look of the new one that you're coming out with?
You mean just like the color or the?
Change the look of the, I guess, app?
No, that's fixed. With the new version coming out, it looks a bit different. I don't believe it's going to be drop-down boxes. I don't know how they're doing it for the next ones. But it's very simple to use. It's not going to be mind-blowing to where it looks like a fancy app. It's going to be, yeah. I've had guys do something custom and create their own overlay. You know, if you want to do that, yeah. Because all it is coding.
Yeah.
You know, it's all you're doing is routing, pretty much. Okay. All right, some fundamental design questions to wrap up. Okay, very important questions, obviously. How many rooms or displays will require AV? Obviously, that's going to matter on your matrix unit. Again, on some of the matrix units, we can double up, okay? The more important question, how many sources or inputs will there be in total? Because guess what, again, on your 4x3 matrix unit I passed around, you get a fifth source, guess what? You're buying a brand new matrix unit, okay? To handle more inputs, okay? And the next step up is usually a 6x6 or an 8x8. Guess what, if you go from a 4x4 to an 8x8, typically it's about twice the cost, so keep that in mind, okay? How will each component within the system be controlled? We talked about this a little bit, whether they have a fancy control system like a URC or AMX or Crestron or Control4, or they use an IP control, okay? Because you don't want a matrix unit to where they have to run downstairs to the basement, hit input and output, and run back upstairs, right? It's got to be controlled remotely, right? Where will the equipment be located? Very important. Are you going to be using standard matrix unit, good for 165 feet or 164 feet? Or do you need to go longer and use HD base T? Again, there's two flavors of HD base T, keep that in mind, okay? Same deal with this, how far are the displays and the rooms from the equipment? Sort of the same question there. Last but not least, can't kind of see it there, but is there room for growth or future technologies? Luckily, we are in the middle of 4K, all right? Yes, sir?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If you put a 4x4 in a customer's house and they expand it, and also they have a need for a 6x6, can you bridge and expand that 4x4 with the new unit?
You have to put a new unit in, yeah. You could do that. You can kind of Mickey Mouse it by running a 1x2 splitter off of each source and going into the next, but yeah, that's not clean at all. I had some guys who wanted to do that after I told them, after I recommended not to do it, and they still
way of
did.
bridging that output on that.
No.
So you'd be better off doing the HDBaseT or HDMI over IP.
HDMI IP is, yeah, that's the way to go. Yeah, because again, it's as simple as replacing the Ethernet switch. That's it. The receivers and the transmitters you keep in place, you buy a 48 port switch rather than 24 if you start running out of ports. That's it. Just like Ethernet, you start running out of ports, get a new, bigger switch. Yeah. Yes, sir?
When was the over IP coming out?
For us, it's Core 3. Yeah, there are competitors out there that do have it right now.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Question?
How's the price point on that versus
I don't know yet. I have heard it's going to be a step up in price. It's very expensive technology right now, but with anything, it will come down.
your matrix?
Mm-hmm.
When you buy like a 4x4, does it automatically come with the 4 receivers to go at the?
We do have one kit that does. It'll be a non-HD base T version. It's a 4x4 matrix unit over cat. 4 receivers included for dealer, about $1,200. Yeah.
It's not HD based?
Not HD base T. Yeah. Yeah. HD base T matrix unit alone, a 4x4 will probably cost you about $1,000 alone.
You
Yeah.
have to buy all the.
And the receivers are separate. What's that?
How much is the receiver?
$300 each.
Really?
Oh yeah. It can range from $200 to $300 each. Yeah.
Depending on the distance.
Yes. Yeah. The HD base T chips are, as you know, they're not cheap. Yeah. I mean, for this unit right here, dealer price is $499, and that's just a single extender. You know, so just keep.
You know what? They work.
Yeah, they work. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. HDB, because it's made by one manufacturer, they kind of control pricing. It's not licensed out to, obviously, like HDMI is licensed out to many manufacturers, and that's where the price really went down, started to drive down. HD base T is made by one single company, and there's no one else who makes it. Okay, again, going to that last point, we're in the middle of 4K, okay? People complain about 4K not being there as far as content. Yes and no, okay? Service providers are catching up. You go to the Best Buy down the street and they will have a section of 4K Blu-ray discs. Movies that have been filmed and mastered in 4K. You can purchase a couple of 4K Blu-ray players now. Okay, that wasn't the case about a year ago. There was about one. Okay, now you got Oppo, you got Samsung, you got Panasonic, what's that? Sony. Sony's coming out, if they're not coming out already. Okay. Philips, I believe there's one. They have one that's out. So you can buy the sources and you can buy the content now, okay? Is the main point, okay? They tried streaming it and Sony tried giving you or trying to sell you a media streamer. People still wanted hard disks. That's why they started coming out again, okay? So the content's there. Service providers are catching up, okay? All right, let's talk about when HDMI goes bad. EDID and the handshake. Just to reiterate, again, source to display, there's always a handshake, there's always two-way communication. When this goes bad, sometimes you will come up with this, okay? Improper EDID information, or EDID just gone bad, pink or green screen. Anybody ever seen that? Okay, that's bad EDID, okay? Typically on these units, okay, you will have some sort of EDID adjustment, whether it's through RS-232 or dip switch or dial that you have to adjust, okay? HD base T, I will not stress this enough. I can't stress this enough. HD base T has no dials or adjustments typically. Why? Because it's automatic, okay? Adjust for you automatically. Yes, it's much more expensive, but as far as compatibility, rarely any issues. It just works right out of the box. It's plug and play.